So we covered the macro in part one of this week's, as we do each week. Now we're going into the technical analysis. Here we're just looking at the Dow Jones. So I've added on some levels, support and resistance, and it's just again just to give you ideas. So what I've done now is I've just put some horizontal lines in at those levels so you can actually identify the prices. So hopefully that'll help you a little bit more just based on the details. This is the 30-minute. So again, done exactly the same thing. Where the horizontal lines are, they're either support or resistance lines, and you can see them quite clearly because I've included the prices from now on so that you can make it much easier for you to sort of register those levels. Of course, it doesn't mean that they're going to be perfect or that they're going to hold in, so just be a little bit careful. But at least it's going to give you an idea. This is all just based on what I can see in the market, so hopefully it does help you. And here's the pivot point. So again, this is on the 30 minutes, still the same as the previous slide. First one was the daily, but here again, we can see on Friday that it's sort of the market got rejected at R1. It came all the way down. Went through S2, bounced back up and finished back at the pivot. Some great opportunities, and the pivot points are really useful for all this. So think about them. If you don't know how to use them, contact us. We'll certainly help you understand them better and how to trade around them. The S&P daily. So I've gone back a little bit further just so you can see sort of the shape of what's happening. Sometimes I like to do this on the daily because I want to see what's happened in the past. I'm not just so focused on what's happening now, especially on the daily. I want to see the historical data, so where the last sort of areas of support are as the market's coming down. So I've managed to get a support line in there, and sort of also just added some support and resistance again. Which I've done on sort of pretty much all of the charts. So once again here, so I've got that sort of resistance level just above, which is in there, and then I've got the angled lines coming down, which has given us a trend that's sort of just trend lines at the moment, almost a channel, just slightly bearish channel at the moment. Again, on Friday it managed to have that rally which prevented it turning into a bear trend, but let's wait and see what this week brings. This is with the pivots. So again, as with most, the stocks tend to follow each other to a degree. So once again, the market rallied from the pivot. It went up and tested R1 all the way down to test S2 and all the way back to close at the pivot again. So it's going to be an interesting start to the week, and it could sort of pretty much set the trend for the week. Now, of course, what we do have here again is a nice channel there. So let's wait and see what happens Monday. Nasdaq. So on the Nasdaq, what I've added here is the Fibonacci levels on, because they're sort of, on some of them, it's not so easy to identify or even find some good levels. But I thought it was worth putting on for the Nasdaq. So this is the daily, and again here, so you can see it's gone through the first level. It's hit the 50, and it's pretty much closed just above that. So again, let's wait and see. If it gets down to the golden ratio, the 0.618, that's really the level I'm interested in. I will sort of trade the other ones. I just treat them the same. They're just bands. If it's above that line, then it's a support. If it's below the line, it's a resistance. And just trade around them. And again, you can have sort of fairly tight stops if you use them like that. But I like the 618 because it really tells you if it's just a retracement, where the market's going to turn again, or whether it's actually going to turn into a reversal where it just keeps going. And for me, that gives me some great trading opportunities. Here's daily just with some levels on. So again, some support and resistance. And hopefully they'll come into play this week, and I'll be using some of them. Nasdaq on the 30-minute. So again, we've got that sort of downtrend showing there. We've sort of again had that bounce on Friday, as all the stocks did. Whether they can hold that's another question. So a bunch of levels are there. It's just, you know, guidelines for you guys, and you know, hopefully they'll help you. Hopefully they'll work. But you know, not every level works, and you know, it's going to depend on the fundamentals again this week. So this is the Nasdaq with the pivot points on. So you know, it's just the same as the others. So there's no point going through it. You know, up to R1, down to S2, effectively. The Nasdaq didn't quite manage to close on the pivot though. It still finished a little bit below. Here's the Russell. So, you know, these are small to mid cap stocks. So here, you know, I've managed to get sort of quite a steep down trend there on the daily. Whether that's going to hold in this week, we'll have to wait and see. Again, support resistance levels on there just to help you. This is the Russell on the 30-minute. Now, I've put these little rings here, and the reason I've put them is because where I've got some of these horizontal lines, they're dissecting the trend lines. So, you know, obviously I've used cross x-rays to put those on, but just so you know which ones they're going to be. So if we've got trend lines on the chart, and, you know, then you've got the horizontal lines cutting into them, then that's the reason that they're there. It's just to identify the price of where they will be. Here's the Russell with pivot points. Exactly the same. It didn't quite get down to S2, the Russell, but it did finish on the pivots again. Pound against the dollar. You know, the dollar's been so strong as it has been almost for 2 years now. It's just had a little bit of a breather over this last week or so. And, you know, obviously with retail sales being a little bit better in the UK, did encourage a little bit of buying to come in on the pound. Again, you know, I'm not massively bullish on the pound, but I've got that range there. I've got that channel. Let's see how the week goes. On the 30-minute, again, I've got a couple of support levels there and a resistance level. Well, you know, I'm really, you know, for the last couple of years, I've been a fan of the dollar, and I just can't see, you know, the comparisons of the US economy against the UK economy really changing things at the moment. You will obviously get that profit taking coming in from time to time, though. This is with the pivot point, so the pound sort of pretty much spent Friday above the pivot level. You know, it was steady. It didn't really sort of take off. It didn't even try and test R1, but it was a steady close. This is the euro on the daily. Sometimes I do the weekly, but this is actually on the daily. I've got that downtrend in there. Again, support and resistance levels. And just remember, you know, some of those horizontal lines where you've got those downtrend lines, they're cutting through there. And it's just, excuse me, it's just to give you the price of what that would actually be on there. The euro on the 30-minute, again, we've just had that bounce, the same, just a little bit of slight dollar weakness, slight dollar profit taking in there. Again, with the euro, you know, UK, Europe just aren't in a stronger position as the US at the moment, and especially with the US going to be putting their rates up so aggressively as well. This is with the pivot points, so it was above pretty much most of the day on Friday. It did dip towards the end of the day, but then had that bounce towards the close. Bitcoin, so you know, it's been sort of mimicking the stock movements to a degree. Obviously, with Luna and everything that went on with the stable coins over the last week or so, it's had a massive impact, which saw it make that sort of low down in the 25,000. It has bounced back. It spent most of the week around about the 30,000, a bit below, slight little bit above. steady enough. It's really waiting for direction now. Again, support and resistance levels on there. 30 minutes, so not too much from that. Couple of support and resistance levels on there. No real sort of direction on it. It's below 30,000, but we're going to have to wait and see where it opens. And as I say, it's sort of fairly loosely been trailing stock, so that could give you a little bit of an idea. This is with the pivot points. So spent sort of morning above the pivot, and then in the US session, it sort of dropped. Actually went below S1, a little bit below, bounced and held, and pretty much closed on S1. Moving on to gold. Again, support and resistance on there. I've got a nice sort of support line in there for the daily. 17s, 80s downwards. I'm looking to buy it. Again, just my personal preference. Where I'm going to sell it, I'm not sure at the moment. I'm not massively bullish for gold, but you can see that it's finding some support. The buyers came back in last week, and for me personally, just remember me personally, I'm looking to buy the dips, but I'm going to be very particular on the price I pay. I'm not going to just buy any sell-off. I've got my specific prices in mind. This is gold on the 30-minute, so it may be sort of just finding a little bit of resistance. If it can get obviously a sort of probably above about 1850, 1855, we could see a breakout on the upside. Otherwise, it could start to come back down, test the support line, and then we've got some more solid support lines just to above the 1800 level. Again, with the pivots, sort of it just traded mid-range between the pivot point and R1 pretty much all of Friday. Finally, WTI. So here, it's been strong all of last week. It's holding steady. Obviously, there's concerns about supply. Demand is still strong. Lots and lots of supply factors in there. And, here we are, we're seeing it. Again, I've managed to get quite a nice support trend line in there, and also a resistance line. And I mean, it is sort of starting to range. I mean, it's a big range, but it's certainly starting to range for the moment. Again, fundamentals can change that in sort of almost seconds. Here we are with the 30-minute chart. So on the 30-minute chart, again, support and resistance lines. Just ideas. They're just sort of levels that I've identified just using the charts. Whether they're going to work this week, we'll have to wait and see. And just finally, here's the pivot points again. So another one that sort of stayed above the pivot level, didn't quite get to test R1. It's steady enough. Let's just wait and see. For me, it's ranging at the moment. Again, I've always got ideas where I want to buy a contract, where I want to sell a contract, but I'm just not going to share them with you guys. I mean, if you want more in depth, then just register for our daily newsletter, because I do put chart levels in there on a daily basis. And if you're interested in that, it's info@symaxfintech.com. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'd love to sort of go into bigger detail and all that, but I have to be careful not to be considered advice to you guys. Of course, reach out. Happy to help you as much as possible. Our daily newsletter does include chart levels, pivot points, my views, and of course, as I mention all the time, we do provide daily workshops, 1-week courses, extended masterclasses, trader mentoring, consulting. We do provide trader education content to exchanges and brokers as well. And if you'd like to contact us, there's our details below. If you want to check out the courses and a bit more about Symax Fintech, feel free. There is the calendar for that. And of course, once again, thank you very much for joining us for this. Have a wonderful week. Have a great week. And hopefully you'll catch up with us again at the end of next week. Thanks very much. You take care. Bye. Good luck.